Good afternoon, one and all. It is Ted the Speed Learner once again, and I want to talk to you today about how to operate a DVD player. Now, a lot of people are asking me, why in the world would I want to teach people how to operate a DVD player? Well, we have a little problem. I would love to teach people how to turn on a computer, but the problem is that some of these people who don't know how to turn on a computer also don't know how to turn on a DVD player. So you really can't give them a DVD and say, hey, here's the instructions how to turn on your computer, when they don't know how to operate a DVD player either. So we're going to now teach everybody how to operate a DVD player. Okay, this is kind of a typical remote for a DVD player. Now, I know there are other remotes out there that are a little simpler, and there are others that are a little more complicated. All right, well, let's just step right on over here to my DVD player. Now, DVD players, you can see this here. This is my DVD player. They have a tray. You can see the tray right here. This is the DVD player tray. And this is a kind of a typical DVD. Now, usually DVDs are burnt on one side. This is the side it's burnt on. This is the side that isn't. Now, if it's just a one-sided DVD, you can actually touch the top of it without hurting anything. It's the other side you don't want to touch, because if you put enough fingerprints on this, eventually this won't play. So if it's a one-sided DVD, you see a little like writing on the top of it. That's okay. You can touch the writing all you want. Just make sure not to touch the other side. Now, some DVDs are double-sided. They have stuff on the top as well as on the bottom. And in that case, you don't want to touch any part of it whatsoever. You just want to hold on to it like this. Okay. I'm going to put this in the tray. Usually there's going to be an open-close button on the remote. Otherwise, there is an open-close button on the DVD player itself. I'm going to use the remote and press this like this. And then when this starts up, we're going to go down here like this and so. And we're going to go to my TV set here. And usually a menu will appear when you put in your DVD. As you can see, I only have one selection up here. Usually there are more selections than that. Usually you'll see a whole great big menu like this. And I'm sure you're going to be asking me in just a second, how do I operate the menu? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that many of the keys on a DVD player are similar to the keys that you will find on a VCR. Okay. Now, you're probably sitting there going, well, why didn't I just make a VCR tape and distribute that? Well, the problem is I don't have the equipment necessary to make a VCR tape on how to operate a DVD player, or even on how to operate a computer. So we've had to resort to this. All right. On your DVD player, you have your play button, which I'm going to go ahead and step over here. Hang on. There we go. Let's set this down here. You have your play button, which has an arrow forward. You have two arrows forward, which means to fast forward. Two arrows going in the opposite direction, which means to rewind. Your stop button here. And then we have these things called navigation buttons. You'll see one with an arrow up, an arrow to the left, an arrow to the right, and an arrow down. And I'm going to explain those navigation buttons in just a minute. Okay, so now you've pretty much seen how the remote operates. Let's go ahead and escort this right over here. And now we'll go back to the screen. We're going to go ahead and press the play button for a second. And this will take us to our chapters. Usually on DVDs you will see chapters. I have a chapter 1 here and a chapter 2 here. Okay, now let's say you don't want to watch chapter 1. You want to watch chapter 2. Well, what do? Well, you go to the navigation buttons. Remember, I was telling you there's a navigation button that has one arrow that's arrow up, one that's arrow to the right, one that's arrow to the left, and one is arrow down. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to press the one to the right. And that will highlight chapter 2. As soon as we do, we press play.
Is it possible to make...
And now it's playing. Now, let's say you don't want to watch chapter 2. Let's say you want to watch chapter 3, 4, or 5, or maybe you want to go back to chapter 1. How do you do that? Well, there's usually a menu button. In this case, I have a disk menu button. It'll either say disk menu or menu. I'll go ahead and press that. And when I do, I go back to my main menu. And then I can make additional selections using my navigational buttons. To enter the selection into your DVD player, once you've used your navigation buttons, then you'll press play, and that will activate the particular selection that you want. This does a very poor job of highlighting which chapter has been selected. Other videos, you'll see it much brighter. They'll either have a red underline or a blue underline or an orange underline, or they may have a square where it's highlighted in orange or red or blue or something like that. Okay, and that's how that works. Anyway, the most important thing to remember is that you do have navigation buttons. One has arrow up, one has arrow to the right, one has arrow to the left, and one has arrow down. As soon as you find those, you can navigate through your whole DVD and pick whatever you want. This is really nice because you can pick out certain scenes that you want to watch. You can also pick up little highlights and little Easter eggs that they have in the DVDs, that kind of thing. You can actually play DVD games with those navigation buttons. Alright, we're done with this at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to press the open close. And this pulls out the little tray. Take out your disc, put it back in its box. And as soon as you do, you can press the open close one more time, and then you can just turn the power off. And that's how all that works. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.